So let's talk a little bit about qualification. Qualification is absolutely critical when it comes to understanding an opportunity, the robustness of that opportunity, and whether it has a chance of actually coming in. In fact, I'd argue that a large part of sales is qualification and pipeline management. We're going to talk about a really simple but effective format for qualifying your own deals. So this is called a why-buy analysis. The objective of this is to ask three very broad but simple questions to help you understand what you know about this opportunity and what you don't know. A really good exercise is to go through this with any opportunity that you're working on at the moment and try and fill in the gaps, because this is going to inform the strategy of what you're going to do next to execute and improve the robustness of this deal and ultimately collect the information that you need to collect. So let's start with this first question. Why are they buying anything? This is really, really important because this actually pertains to the pain that they have, the challenges they have, the problem that they have. I've sat in countless deal reviews and pipeline reviews where people simply can't answer this question. Now, the product you're selling isn't the outcome that you're looking for. So let me give you an example. If I was selling a lead generation tool, the answer to this question shouldn't be they need leads, because that's an outcome. The question we should ask is, why do they need leads? Well, they are struggling to grow year on year, as an example. Okay, let's talk a little bit about that. And why is that so important to them? Well, they had a competitor move into their space last year and stole their market share, and they're about 20% down year on year to where they need to be. That's a pain. That's a problem. That's why they're buying anything at all. A really good practice here is to make sure that you've got the metrics that are associated with this why buy as well, particularly around why they're buying anything. So what should we expect to see come out the back of why they're buying anything? Well, we should see the pain or problem that they're trying to solve. We should have quantified that with metrics, which is absolutely critical because that helps you build out a value case or a business case. And on top of that, it should pertain to overarching business goals, departmental goals, and individual goals. So if you can answer that question with absolute clarity and articulate it in a way that talks about all of those points, that's a really good start to why the organization that you're trying to sell to is buying anything at all. The next question we should ask ourselves, or if we're a manager, the question we should ask of our reps is, why are they buying it now? Now, this question is really, really important because it pertains to a compelling event or a reason or an objective or maybe even an incentive or a new product launch that they've got coming out for why they should do this right now. Now, this is a really interesting question. And again, I've sat in pipeline reviews where people can't quite articulate this right, but they might turn around and say, well, because if they don't get leads, they're in big trouble. Well, what does that mean? You can't put that in front of a customer and say, great, you're buying it now because you're in big trouble. The sort of things we should see come out the back of this, like I said before, are a real compelling event to why they're buying it now. Piece of legislation going on in the market, a target bearing down on their neck that needs to be achieved by a certain time point, a competitor moving into their market, or a new product launch, or a particular project that's going live. These are all the things that ultimately make the reason and the compelling reason why a client needs to buy something right now. And this is really important. What we often find is if people don't articulate that first question, why they're buying anything, and they haven't got that pain, it's very, very difficult for them to answer that second question. Why are they buying it now? The last question is, why are they buying your product? This is a really important question to ask. Now, in my experience, when this is done poorly, what we often get is sort of feature function. Oh, it does this, it does that, which is important, obviously. But ultimately, what we're looking for is what's different about your product? What specifically do you do that they can't get anywhere else in the market? Now, this might be a feature, this might be a function, but again, it needs to feed into that. Why are they buying anything? What's the problem that they're looking to solve? Now remember, if you distill sales down, it's the same thing the world over. Find the problem, solve it with your product. Ideally, solve it in a unique way that they can't get anywhere else. What's really interesting about this, like the other two questions, is that when you get to this question, or when you're asking this question last, if they haven't done the other two questions correctly, this one is often a complete shambles. And by this point, they probably see that they don't have a robust enough opportunity and they need to go back and learn the answers to these questions. So out the back of this, we find out about what the business case is, what the use case is, who's involved in that use case from the economic buyer all the way through down to the end user. And to get this part right, we need to make sure that we've excavated all the correct answers out the back of this to get exactly what we want to make that why buy analysis really, really clear, concise, and robust. The great thing about a why buy analysis is that it's habit forming. So you only need to do this on yourself a few times until you naturally start thinking about those questions, sometimes during the conversation with the client as well. And if you're a manager using this as a way of doing deal reviews or pipeline reviews, once again, you only need to go through this format 2 or 3 times until by the time the rep comes into the room or comes into the meeting, they've got a clear understanding of that opportunity and they can talk through the elements and the fundamentals of why the customer's buying anything, why they're buying it now, and ultimately why they're buying your product. Well, as always, guys, I hope that was helpful and I hope there's some use there. If you want some more collateral content on this, just shout in the comments below and I'll make sure I get that over to you. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, share with friends, and as always, happy selling.